Alright, so getting back into it. Step 19. It says filling out the content of the quiz. Below student info, add 3 div elements with a class of info. Then within each div, nest one label element and one input element. So gotta get this adjusted. Okay, so below this, add 3 div elements. I think they're supposed to be right here. Class of info. And within each div element, nest one label element and one input element. Okay. I think I'm forgetting how to do the label one. Not sure. I think that's self-closing. Another one here. And another one here. Okay, so it's not checking my code. I think I have to refresh this. Oh, yeah, I forgot I didn't fit this into the div. Okay, so the syntax error. You should nest one input element within the first div. After the label. I thought when I saved it, I put it in there. Alright, so that code passes. It's important to link each input to the corresponding label element. This provides assistive technology users with a visual reference to the input. This is done by giving the label a for attribute, which contains the ID of the input. The section will take a student's name, email address, and date of birth. Give the label elements appropriate for attributes as well as text content. Then link the input elements to the corresponding label elements. Okay. Let me just read this again, make sure I understand. Which gives the ID of the input. This section will take the student's name, email address, and date of birth, give the label elements appropriate for attributes, as well as text content, and link the input elements to the corresponding label elements. Okay, so I guess what we're supposed to do is make up what these are. I'll just say info 1. And that would be the ID for this. And then for, I'll make it info 2. Info 3. I'm just gonna rate info 1. I don't know, because it doesn't really tell us what it should be. So that code does pass. So that was the right idea. Oh, so I guess like what it kind of wanted though is because it wasn't really telling me what to put, but instead of info 1, info 2, and info 3, they had it where it's an actual name field, an email field, and a date of birth field. But just because it wasn't telling me what to say, I kind of put generic things there. But you see the for attribute connects to the ID attribute, and they're all the same. Keep in mind, best practices for form inputs: give each input an appropriate type and name attribute, then give the first input a placeholder attribute. So type is it text? I think this type would be email. It's been a while. And I think this would be number. Or date. I'm not Not sure. Now we need the name attributes. I think what I'm going to do is make that the same as the ID. So students name student email birth date. And then for the first input, it wants me to put a placeholder. So I'll just put my name. Okay, so it's type date, right? All right, I just wasn't sure. All right, there we go. So that was it. Wow, okay. So that was the only thing I didn't really remember well. All right, that's pretty good. For me, at least. Step 22. Even though you added a placeholder to the first input element in the previous lesson, this is actually not the best practice for accessibility. Too often, users confuse a placeholder text with an actual input value. They think there is already a value in the input. Remove the placeholder text from the first input element, relying on the label being the best practice. Okay, so just remove the placeholder. I think that's what they're asking me to do. Okay. Arguably, DOB is not descriptive enough. This is especially true for visually impaired users. One way to get around such an issue without having to add visible text to the label is to add text only a screen reader can read. Append a span element within a class of SR only to the current text content of the third element. Okay, so I guess this is the text content of the third element. So it wants a span around that. The class is going to be SR only. Okay, so I guess it should be here. Okay. Within the span element, add the text date of birth. Oh, okay. So I think what it's saying is just DOB like that. For visually impaired users, it's not enough to tell them its date of birth. Okay. That makes sense. The .sr only text is still visible. There is a common pattern to visually hide text for only screen readers to read. Yeah, because it kind of looks a little weird. Like it's this DOB thing and then date of birth. This pattern is to set the following CSS properties. Use the above to define the SR only class. Okay, so I think what it wants me to do is actually build this class. I think that's what it wants me to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but I'll go with it. Alright, the code passes, so that was what it wanted me to do. So it was a class that wasn't built yet. So I think screen reader only means SR only, screen reader only. Okay. Within the second section element, add two div elements with a class of question block. Within the second section element, add two div elements with a class of question block. Okay, so I'm gonna make that here. So the div element is gonna close here. Another one. And the class is gonna be, I'm gonna go on a limb and actually type it. Add one p element to the text of incrementing numbers starting at 1. So, okay, so starting at 1 and one field set element of a class question. Alright, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, then add a field set element with a class of question. Okay, so Alright, so I'm going to make the P element here. And I guess I would make it 2 in this case, and then make another field set. Alright, so I think we did it right. Each field set will contain a true or false question. Within each field set, nest one legend element and one UL element with 2 options. Alright, so okay, so I think that goes in the field set element. And add a UL element. This is an ordered list. So if it's an unordered list, I think it would need 2 options. So would that be true? So I think that would be true here and false here. So I think I'll just copy this, or no, hold on. Copy this. And put it here. All right, so the code passed. Okay. Give each field set an adequate name attribute, then give both unordered lists a class of answer list. Okay. Um, so I guess the name, it would make sense for it to be question 1. In field set, it would be question 2. Um, Alright, so what else does it say? Use the legend to caption the content of the field set by placing a true or false value in the text. Oh, I think I skipped ahead because that's what I did before. So it didn't ask me to put list items in, but I already did that. So I was wondering why they were gone. True, false. False. Then give both unordered lists a class of answers list. So this is a class that we have not built yet. Answers list. Finally, use a legend to caption the content of the field set by placing a true false question. Finally use a I'm just putting my phone on do not disturb. Finally, use a legend to caption the content of the field set by placing a true or false question as the text content, but I don't know what the question is. So I guess it's asking to make up a question. So I guess I'll ask, is HTML a programming language? I don't know. Or is HTML a markup language? And there would be either a true or false question of that. And maybe does CSS stand for cars sitting still? I don't know. So that code does pass. That code does pass. I'm not sure what questions they came up with. I think now we're going to see what questions they came up with. Okay, so these are the questions that they came up with. The legend element represents a caption for the content of its parent field set element. A label element nesting input element is required to have a for attribute with the same value as the input IDs. To provide the functionality of the true or false questions, we need to set a set of inputs which do not allow both to be selected at the same time. Okay, so hold on. So I think radio buttons come to mind. So within each list element, nest one label element. Within each label element, nest one input element of the appropriate type. Okay, so so label would be true, and the input element would be it would have to be type radio. Yep. Not sure if I have the order right, but that I want me to have. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna copy. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this. And write false. Alright. I think there's more to do to connect them. But that's all it's telling me to do for now. But there's a lot more I would need to code to connect them. Like I would need name and value pairs to make this a form. Okay. So I think this one's supposed to do for all of them. So, all right, so that's it. There'd still be more to do, like I mentioned, but I think that's going to be done in later steps, given how a lot of this worked out. Um, so I'm only doing what I'm instructed to do. Yep. See, this would be linking those things together. Add an ID to all of your radio inputs, so you can link your labels to them. All right. So add an ID. Yeah, I actually want to end this off at around 30-minute mark to make these not too long. But I'm actually gonna continue this on the next one. But yeah, so far we're at like 18. Now we're at 29. So this is gonna be the last one, and then there's gonna be the tribute page. So yeah,